Cherry. Today we're going to drain and fill automatic transmission fluid on a 2003 Ford F150. Pretty simple and straightforward. There's a little bit of difficulty with the pan and stuff, but I'll show you that in a sec. Okay, first pull out your transmission fluid dipstick. This way you can kind of see what state your fluid's been in. Mine actually doesn't look too bad. It's pretty red. It starts out red and it gets browner. I always like to cross-reference several sources to make sure I'm doing the right thing. So this is the sheet that came with the new filter. And then I have 2003 Ford F150 Chilton manual. And section 127 here is instructions. They do line up pretty well here. One thing that they are recommending is be on a flat surface, I think, so you can get an accurate measurement on your dipstick. So in the end, we'll make sure the truck is level when we measure. All right, the things you're gonna want before starting this, you're gonna want a drain pan that's big enough. It's a pretty big one. You might want a bigger one than I have. You're gonna want a 10mm socket for the unbolting the pan. You're going to want a putty knife or a screwdriver, maybe a razor blade to scrape off. A lot of times the old gasket can be really stuck on there. You're going to want to buy a new filter and a new gasket. A lot of times these come in the same box together. I'm estimating we're going to want about 5 quarts of Mercon V automatic transmission fluid. It'll probably be between 4 and 5. We'll see. You're going to want brake cleaner. You're going to use that to clean the pan out real good before we put it back on. All right, right as we get started here, I just ran the truck for about 5 minutes. You can do it either way, with it cold or hot, I've heard. I think when it's warm, it's gonna drain a lot easier. Also, right now, if you can see my breath, it's somewhere in the 20s today, so it's very cold. I just think it's gonna flow a lot better if it's a little warm. I didn't run it too long because I don't want it to be hot, because then it's gonna burn me. 2 more things you're probably gonna need is a nice long funnel. They do make specific transmission fluid funnels, but I think this one will do, and a torque wrench. Okay, so first thing, we're gonna remove the bolts that are in the middle and leave the corner bolt till the very end. So we'll go ahead and pull those out. Break loose pretty easily. You are going to want a swivel head, because there is one of the bolts is right up in front of that thing, and so it's very hard to get to. Okay, so this is the back of the pan. Front of the vehicle is this way, and your extension problem is it doesn't want to bend around this. So what I did, first I unscrewed the 2 front bolts, and then I tilted the pan like this and dumped as much as I could, and while holding with my left hand, unscrewed the last 2 bolts, and then I pulled it down like this and I could dump it. Now usually at this point, you're gonna need to pull out your old filter from that hole right there. Mine just plopped out the pan, so that's probably not a great sign. It wasn't seated very well. This is the old dirty fluid. It actually doesn't look as dirty as it could, because it starts out red, and the browner it gets, the dirtier it is. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty dirty, but it could be worse. You can see right here in the corner is the pan magnet, and that just takes up all the shavings from inside the engine. Of course, in an older vehicle, you're going to have a lot of shavings all over that, and that's just normal. Oh yeah, when you pull the filter out, make sure you get this O-ring out with it too. You won't be able to seat the new one. There's also, if you do this and you find like this little widget thing floating around in there, that's a thing that they put in when they're manufacturing the truck, and it's a dust plug and it just falls out down there. If you find that, that means it's the first time anyone's ever changed the ATF in your truck. Fortunately mine, I'm not seeing that, so somebody at some point has at least serviced this once before. All right, so we're just gonna throw this away. All right, so we're gonna just dump this into a container. I would say that's probably why my truck has been shifted so horribly, because that's not very much at all. There's the old gasket. It's really not in too bad. For those of us that don't have a parts cleaner, let's shave all that off. Be very careful not to damage this area, because that's going to create a seal between the engine block and the pan. Rest of our drain. drained fluid. Alright, now it's time to put the gasket on the pan. And some people will put sealers and stuff. I don't think it's really meant to. I think some people will put grease on it just to hold it there. So that's why I got this little thing of tube of white lithium grease.
In a minute.
This one's a little harder than the gasket that was on there because it was rigid. Okay, so I think I got that about as clean as I could, just spraying brake parts cleaner on just an old rag and then wiping that as clean as I could get it. And I'm gonna go ahead and insert the filter. And there's nothing that really holds that on, it just pops up in here. Just give that a little, we'll just take a wipe like this and put a wipe around there, just like this. Okay, I think that's gonna stay. Now we get the fun part of trying to hold the pan back up as we bolt it back on. I am gonna take some of that white lithium grease, do a really thin little bead around here. It's kind of messy, but this is real life, people. And I don't know how to get the filter to stick up in there. Or at least they could have done is put a clip on there or something. Okay, so after we get the filter up there and we put the pan on, we're just going to finger tighten these down, and then once we go to crank them down, the manual says 108 to 132 inch pounds, which is crazy to me. Like, nobody measures anything in inch pounds, it's all foot pounds. So I had to convert it, so it looks like 9 to 11 foot pounds. So I'm going to set my torque wrench for 10 foot pounds. I guess you just got to have it hold long enough to get the pan on. Everyone else I've seen do this, it sticks in there really. I'd like to know if anyone has any solutions for a curled up gasket. Okay, so I just found out a little secret. So if you get a gasket, like a new non-rigid gasket, the holes are small enough that if you pop the bolts through, they'll actually hold it down for you. So before you install, slide the gasket over those bolts. Okay, see how I did that? Like, I'm actually using the bolts to hold it there, because otherwise, see how it's just flimsy and it's not gonna stay anywhere. There. As with anything, like putting on tires or anything, you want to do a crisscross pattern. We're gonna go there, 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 and then try to do the same with all the others. 14 of these guys. Alright, once you get the pan bolted on to torque specifications for each bolt, you're just going to fill it through the filler tube right here. I start out with 4 quarts and then run the engine for a while and then check it again, and you probably shouldn't need more than 4.5, maybe 5 total, but we'll see here. Cherry. After I put the 4 quarts in, I'm just going to turn the truck on, let it run through all the gears. Now we're going to go check the level again, and it looks like we're right about in the right range after 4.5 quarts. Obviously we want to check this again after driving it a while, but for now I'm going to call that good.
Money, learn stuff, do it yourself.
Guys, please be quiet. Bring brake parts cleaner on.